Ukraine is the largest country in Europe. Ukraine is an industrial and agricultural country, rich in unique black soil and minerals, as well as natural landscapes. Ukraine has a long history. The ancient settlements of the advanced Trypillians and the warlike Scythians left unique treasures and influenced the culture and customs of modern Ukrainians. The city of Kyiv was the political and cultural center of the great state of Kievan Rus, where the foundations of statehood were laid and the first Old Rus Code of Laws, Rus Pravda, was created. Chronicles tell of a powerful state that had trade and family ties with all of Europe, developed science and education. After the baptism of Rus, when Kievan Rus embraced Christianity, the construction of St. Sophia Cathedral began in the heart of the capital, which to this day preserves ancient architecture and history in original mosaics and frescoes. The grandeur and unique beauty of the cathedral have made it a true wonder of the world. Along with the name of Kievan Rus, the first written mention of Ukraine appears in 1187. Thus, the son of the Kievan prince Yuri Dovhoruki married the daughter of Han Polovetsky in order to actively engage his army in the fight against his relatives. He settled in the distant lands of modern Russia. In the 13th century, Europe was shaken by an invasion. Nomadic tribes of Mongols came from the Eurasian steppes. Their state, called the Golden Horde, managed to conquer the lands of Russia and capture Kyiv. And Moscow became the center for collecting tribute from all the principalities controlled by the Golden Horde. In the 14th century, the decline of the Golden Horde came. Ukraine came under the control of the Grand Duchy of Lithuania and the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth. In the 15th century, Cossacks appeared on Ukrainian lands. These were Ukrainian warriors who defended the southern and eastern borders from constant invasions by invaders. Education has always been an important issue for Ukrainians. So the extremely progressive Ostrog Academy was established, where 5 foreign languages and more than 10 disciplines were taught. The institution had a powerful printing house, and it was there that the first Ukrainian textbook and the first complete Slavonic language Ostrog Bible were published. Later, the Cossack leader Hetman Bohdan Khmelnytsky rose up against national and religious enslavement. This is how the Ukrainian early modern state, the Hetmanate, was created. In order to gain support, Bohdan Khmelnytsky was forced to sign an agreement with the Tsar of Moscow. However, the Tsar betrayed the agreement. Therefore, the Cossacks launched liberation uprisings many times. They adopted their own constitution, the so-called Constitution of Philip Orlik, which defined the rights of different strata of society. Tsar Peter I of Moscow proclaimed the Russian Empire. This change in the name of the Moscow state challenged the identity of the Ukrainian people. And then, the prohibition of the Cossacks to elect their own hetman, the destruction of the Zaporizhia Sich, the outpost of the Cossacks. Russia tried in every way to overcome any resistance of Ukrainians. The printing of Ukrainian books and the use of the Ukrainian language in churches, schools, universities, and theaters were restricted. Over the course of 4 centuries, the Ukrainian language was banned 134 times by official circulars, decrees, laws, and anathemas. However, the first work in literary Ukrainian was published, just as other Slavic peoples, including the Russians, were beginning to form their national literatures. The Ukrainian language was spoken in cities and villages, in poems and books, and in songs. The fall of the Tsarist regime allowed Ukrainians to restore their state. The Ukrainian People's Republic was proclaimed. but Ukraine was captured by the Bolsheviks, who annexed it to the Soviet Union. A full-scale terror was unleashed against the Ukrainian intelligentsia and peasantry. Due to numerous peasant uprisings, the communist authorities provoked a famine in Ukraine, which killed more than 4 million Ukrainians. The flower of the creative intelligentsia of Ukraine was destroyed. They executed Renaissance. Ukrainians suffered painful human losses during the Second World War. In terms of human losses relative to population, Ukraine shares first place with Poland and Belarus. It was a Ukrainian from Kharkiv, Oleksiy Berest, who planted the flag over the captured Reichstag, and a Ukrainian, Anatoly Shapiro, was among the liberators of the prisoners of the Nazi Auschwitz camp. However, even after the war, the communist government did not favor Ukrainian citizens. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians went through the Gulag camps or were forcibly deported from their own land. Finally, millions of protesters brought down the Soviet Union. Ukraine became an independent and democratic state. It gave up its nuclear weapons, which it had inherited from the Soviet Union. However, Russia never gave up trying to bring Ukraine back under its control. In spite of everything, Ukrainians continued to create Ukrainian literature and develop Ukrainian art, which has grown into a tremendous world cultural heritage. This is how the legendary Shchedryk, Carol of the Bells, a Ukrainian folk song arranged by Mykola Leontovich, appeared and became a Christmas song all over the world. The works of Maria Primachenko still amaze artists, and the British included Ivan Marchuk, a contemporary Ukrainian genius, in the list of 100 geniuses of our time. It was this man who introduced a new method to the fine arts, which was later dubbed plein air. Ukrainian Igor Sikorsky created the helicopter and patented his invention in 1931. Ukrainian Serhiy Korolyov is a man who is considered to be almost the founder of astronautics. It was under his leadership that the first intercontinental ballistic missile, the first artificial Earth satellite, the first human spaceflight, and the first human spacewalk were launched. Ukrainian Eugene Paton invented various methods of electric welding, which allowed him to build bridges and high-rise buildings. His methods are still used all over the world. Mykola Amosov, a Ukrainian, was the first to perform mitral valve prosthetics. He was also the first in the world to introduce prosthetic heart valves with antithrombotic properties. Ukrainian Marina Vyazovska solved one of the most difficult mathematical problems of our time, which scientists have been struggling with for several centuries. The world knows many outstanding Ukrainians, artists and athletes, scientists and businessmen, doctors. And for many in the world, supporting Ukraine today is a personal moral choice. The choice of everyone in the world who values freedom, who values human life, who believes in the power of good.